Welcome to We've Got a Country to Save, brought to you by Immun'Âge and Freedom Chat. Freedom Chat has true end-to-end encryption, no storage of messages on the server, and no commercial use of user data. That way you can speak freely and message privately. Download the app today and subscribe to my Freedom Chat channel at Larry Elder for exclusive posts and never-before-seen content. We also thank Impactful Pictures, Old Glory Bank, Patriot Mobile, MyPillow, and AmFed Coin and Bullion. Please be sure to like and subscribe to our podcast. Make sure to follow and subscribe to my channel on whatever platform you are using, whether X, YouTube, Facebook, or Rumble. Please patronize our sponsors so we can keep bringing you these awesome videos. And if you don't patronize our sponsors, well...
I get $10 on pump 2. Susie?
Hit the floor, asshole.
Stay down.
You know, this really pisses me off. Your store's got such nice, clean, filtered fresh air, and it just takes a couple of scumbags to stink it up.
I said hit the floor, asshole, or I'm gonna blow your head off.
You know, if I had a nickel for every time some piece of shit pointed a gun at me, I'd be a rich man.
I'm gonna cut you long, wide, and deep, Motorhead.
Pump all the gas you can hold.
That's not good business.
We know where you live. MSNBC Hee-Haw described the Egyptian Muslim illegal alien terrorist as a white male.
As far as the investigation itself, we're still trying to verify and confirm some video, but it appears to show a significant portion of the incident as it happened. There's an individual that's taken into custody. He's a white male. Whether or not that's the person that police ultimately arrested and will ultimately charge in this crime, a bit of a question at this time, but that's just what we've seen so far. He's a white male.
All white people look alike. Don't tell Rashida Tlaib. Remember how she grilled the U.S. Census Director?
We are all rightfully concerned about communities like mine that are at serious risk of being undercounted in 2020 census. But something I'm particularly concerned about is the lack of representation on the forum of people who look like me. Starting in 2015, a research effort spanned years under the previous administration, led by the Office of Management and Budget, by community organizations like Access and the Arab American Institute and many others, which pushed to add the new category to the 2020 survey called Middle Eastern North African, or what we call MENA. In 2015, Director, the category went into the field for testing, and based on the findings, the Census Bureau recommended the inclusion of MENA category in the 2020 census. Despite these findings, however, the Census Bureau announced under the current administration that MENA category would not be included in the census. Dr. Dillingham, do I look white to you?
Congresswoman, I think that if you tell me what you identify with, and I think I would respect that.
Sure. So, Dr. Director, are you aware that people like me who are Arab, Middle Eastern, North African have to indicate that they're white on the U.S. Census?
Congresswoman, we actually have on the, and I understand, you know, that there was a process in deciding certainly before I got to the census, and there's a history to coming up with the questions and the race and the ethnicity categories, and that OMB...
No, they ignored it. Director, before you... But they ignored it. The previous administration decided to put MENA on the form. They ignored it. But do you think if I circled white category, that would be an accurate depiction of my racial and ethnic background?
Congresswoman, we do not second guess what you put down
okay.
there.
Well,
and we do have a write-in. We do have a write-in.
Director, you're not giving me an option, because let me tell you, there's a reason why the recommendation happened. Sure. Because would circling white on the census change my lived experience as a person of color in our country, right? Even saying that, you understand there's a difference when you actually have the checkoff box. Because the MENA community, like others, relies on accurate census representation for health research Director.
Certainly.
Language assistant, civil rights laws, and reporting educational outcomes. In addition, it would help address things like crime reporting, Director, helping minority business owners get loans, and drawing congressional and state legislative boundaries. So, Director, do you believe it is important to better collect racial and race information from census participants of Middle Eastern and North African descent?
Congresswoman,
Do you believe that, though?
I can say that by having the write-in provision, that is the
Sir,
option.
it doesn't have the same impact, and you know that. You know that.
Yeah.
That's why the community pushed to add the category of MENA, and they did it right. They went through the process, and they got it approved. And this administration decided to ignore them and to make them invisible again, right? That's what you're doing. You're making us invisible. No, the continued absence of this ethnic category contributes to erasing us. Our living, working, we all live and work and raise our families here. I truly believe this issue needs to be addressed, and we need your leadership to push back against this current administration's lack of wanting to see people like me being represented on an official government federal forum that decides around funding, decides how they're going to treat us, how they're going to approach health research, language assistance, all those kinds of things. And I mean, you know, Director, we need to get it right because I'm not white. I'm not. And I don't just, you know, try to say to others that you should be this or that. Sure. But when I sit on this forum and I look at it, I don't see myself represented on this forum. And I think that's a huge issue for people like me. Sure. And I need you to do more in pushing back against this current administration, ignoring what the previous administration was able to do. And the U.S. Census Bureau decided to add MENA, and they ignored it.
Congresswoman, I can assure you that we continue to study race and ethnicity and the options for self-reporting that.
Director?
And let me just say that
but we've been studied enough.
We want your views, and we're beginning the process of looking at the 2030 census.
It's too late. It's too late because for 10 years we will be invisible to health research, to a number of things, small business loans. We will be invisible for another decade in our country. And I think it's wrong. And it was wrong to ignore the efforts of not only the Office of Management and Budget, but organizations like Access AI and others who followed the process, did what they needed to, get public input to making sure that they are seen finally by their own federal government. Thank you, I yield. Do I look white to you?
I'm funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown, I amuse you? I make you laugh? I'm here to fucking amuse you? What do you mean funny? Funny how? How am I funny?
Not just, you know how you tell a story. What?
No, I don't know. You said it. How do I know? You said I'm funny. How the f am I funny? What the f is so funny about me? Tell me. Tell me what's funny.
Do I look white to you?
That's a clown question, bro.
Do I look white to you?
You ain't black.
And the local Boulder authorities, despite the suspect yelling, "Free Palestine," or "Palestine is free," "End Zionists," "They are killers," the local Boulder authorities refrained from calling this a terror attack.
FBI is already calling it a targeted terror attack. Would you also refer to it as a terror attack?
So I've been in contact with our local FBI multiple times. We are in contact with them here. We are not calling it a terror attack at this point. Again, it's way too early to speculate motive. You know, I know there's a lot out there on social media, but I ask people just to give us a little bit of patience while we work through a really complex scene. A lot of witnesses were here. We've taken them to another location to debrief them and interview them. As we do that, I think the picture will become more clear. But it would be irresponsible for me to speculate on motive this early on. We're only a couple hours into this thing.
12 people were injured, including a Holocaust survivor. This man was a witness.
There was a woman who was running by us, saying that there was a man that was throwing fire at people. And I'm familiar with the event. I'm Jewish myself. I've never attended any one of these events that happen all across the country, just simply due to the fear of something like this actually happening. But I'm very well familiar with how they run and all the people around them and all that kind of stuff. So my immediate thought was to kind of just jump the fence and go see if there's anything I could do or see if there's anything I could do to help or anything like that. And so I left my one toddler was with us at the time with my niece and nephew, ran there. I went up to the courthouse where they typically are. There's another man that approached with me. He started immediately trying to de-escalate the situation with the guy, and trying to talk to him as the guy was yelling at the crowd of people. There was a bunch of people kind of just standing there outside the square watching, and then obviously like the 20 to 25 people that were in the march, in the walk, I should say, that were either on the ground or tending to other people who were burned. And then so that guy was talking to them. He was yelling at the people saying, "F you Zionists, you're killing all my people." I told her to obviously please hurry because there are people who are literally having their skin melt off their bodies, and I'm sorry to be so graphic, but I went and grabbed one of the buckets. The nearest water that someone directed me to was the fountain that's there in the square, so I started scooping out water from the fountain and bringing it over to the different people who were obviously victims of what had happened, tried to start pouring it on their legs just to make them more comfortable. One man probably, if I had to guess, was probably in his like 50s to 60s, just kind of in shock and figuring out what he could do to make himself more comfortable. I mean, his leg from ankle or foot all the way up to his buttocks was melted. His skin was melted basically off or shaved off his leg. Sorry. It's funny because I've talked about this a bunch in the last couple of hours, and I'm not getting as choked up again as I did when I was there. And so there were some deep cuts in a bunch of these people's legs, probably an inch in diameter, with blood coming out of them. Their feet were bloody. I went over across the path to these two elderly women, probably in their 70s, maybe 80s. One was more concerned with the other than herself, and just trying to get me to put water on her friend or whoever she was with. Her whole back leg, up from her calf up to her butt, was, again, skin kind of just falling off of their legs. This other woman had burns all over her hands, ankles, feet, elbows. They looked stunned, confused. There's another woman who, maybe with her partner, I don't know who he was to her, but he had taken her. She was initially closer to the severely burned victim, and he kind of pulled her away. And when I got to her, even though she was furthest by the time I helped her, she was in serious pain. And I mean, going up the whole side of her arm, her legs, everything, just consistent with what I was already explaining. As far as the guy goes, who's the perpetrator, if that's what I'm going to call him, when I got there, he had the two bottles of what I thought looked like it was clear enough to be alcohol, but I'd seen that there was an exploded carafe that he had already thrown, or I assumed that he had already thrown. Whether it was dropped, thrown, I don't know. But it was on the ground. It was already exploded, if you can see in the video. And then he had two others with like these red rags kind of sticking out of them. I heard one of the previous people speak that someone was saying that he was spraying it on people. I didn't see him spray anything. I saw him holding them and looking like he was about to throw it at people, and they looked exactly like what I would think would be a Molotov cocktail. There's also a big tank behind him with like a chemical sprayer, and he had initially an orange vest on. So I had the same impression that somebody else had mentioned earlier, that he was posing as someone who was like a gardener or something, and he was lighting people on fire while spraying gasoline on them.
Now, the suspect entered the country under a visa, overstayed the visa, was still granted a work permit under Biden. The permit expired, but hey, says Chris Cuomo, illegal aliens killing Americans isn't really a thing. It's an artificial issue.
Hi, Chris. My name is Darren. I realize that you have absolutely no faith in either of the parties, but I was just wondering, you used to have a thing back when you were at CNN that really stuck with me, telling them to just do their damn job. So if they actually did their damn job and just governed instead of all these partisan games, would we actually be in a better place? And would your opinion on the parties change at all? I was just wondering. Thanks. Bye.
Good question. thank you for being constructive. 2, no. They should do their damn job. Right now, Trump isn't really helping them or pushing them to do their job. He's only passed like 5 pieces of legislation early on in his administration because he's all about showing this power of the unified executive and wanting to do everything himself. I do think that if Congress members did more deal making, it would be better for us, but it would not change how I feel about the parties. They are the problem. They are the root of this binary battle to the bottom. The division is almost exclusively manufactured. We are fighting over culture issues and controversies that are completely made up. We divide this country over a single homicide of somebody, and it's absolutely wrong. What happened to Laken Riley is horrible. It's one too many, any way you want to look at it. But it is also an artificial issue. We have crime issues in this country. Our homicide problem is not from illegal immigrants, okay? Yeah, but there shouldn't be any. There shouldn't be any of a lot of things that we haven't made a top priority. The division is manufactured, and it is manufactured by people who are in the business of splitting us up for profit and for their own advantage. There's only one part of the equation that benefits from the division. It ain't you. It ain't me, because we wind up picking a side based on whether or not guys my side should play high school female sports. And then I wind up having to stay with that side no matter what they're pitching, even if the policies are against my own financial interest for me and my family, because I sided with them over some stupid culture issue. Still against the parties, always against the parties, anti-party.
Not according to John Lott of the Crime Prevention Research Center. Illegal alien crime is vastly understated because most states don't track it. One state that does, Arizona.
The issue is how many crimes could have been prevented if they weren't here. So for people to say, well, they commit less crimes. Well, the question is how many crimes could have been prevented if we had secure borders and immigration laws that made sense? That's the question.
And the John Lott study in Arizona, which was the most definitive of any jurisdiction that's ever been done, Professor John Lott, showed that illegal aliens are 142% more likely to be arrested for a crime. It's specific data, police data, culled through. It was painstakingly specific and well documented. So that's another fact.
Now, the head of the Anti-Defamation League praised Trump, who pointed out that but for Biden's open borders, this man would never have been in the country.
Well, look, we've seen the president, we've seen AG Bondi, we've seen FBI Director Cash take a strong position on these kinds of acts. And Caroline's right, this is domestic terror. This is an act intended to engender fear, intended to promote insecurity. The man said he planned it for a year. He had 14 Molotov cocktails on him that he hadn't even had a chance yet to use. I mean, this is a deranged individual, but we need to demonstrate deterrence. And look, I think this is not only a violation of these Jewish people's physical security, it's a violation of their civil rights. Right? Freedom of assembly is guaranteed in our Constitution and under the First Amendment. So I applaud DOJ for taking a tough stance. And what I really want is whether it's social media influencers on Twitch and YouTube like Hassan Piker or other kind of promoters of hate on YouTube and TikTok like Guy Christensen, or like, you know, these speakers at these graduations. It just happened the other day at MIT, spreading blood libels about the Jewish people or the Jewish state. It creates the conditions in which this kind of act is happening with increasing frequency. We've got to stop it once and for all. I hope the Trump administration will do just that.
Ilhan Omar claims Israel committing genocide in Gaza. Question: what kind of perpetrators of genocide kill fewer civilians per combatants in Gaza than our military did in Iraq and Afghanistan? About this issue, watch Coleman Hughes enlighten Joe Rogan.
If you ask the question, what is unique about this war? What is different about this war than all other wars? It's not the civilian death toll. The ratio of combatants to civilians is, I think it's better than the American armies was when we got ISIS out of Mosul. That was like 10,000 civilians dead to kill 4,000 ISIS. This is 19,000 civilians dead to kill 13,000. It's not that, you know, what's unique about this war, unlike every other war that I could think of, is you have an army in Hamas that has perfected the art of embedding itself, enmeshing itself with civilians so that you cannot hit them without hitting the people around them. Other armies have done this, but none have perfected it to the extent that Hamas has. No army that I know of in military history has had 15 years to build 300 miles of tunnel underneath a city that they don't use to shelter the civilians, but they use to shelter themselves so that they can operate right under a kindergarten, right under a mosque. So this is a challenge no army has faced. And so that's what makes this war different. And yes, I agree with all of the absolute tragedy and suffering of the Palestinian people, but it's what creates that is the way Hamas fights. And either we can say one of two things. We can either say, well, Israel doesn't have a clean shot, and so they have to let Hamas get away with it because it's too much to bear. But then we are essentially creating a situation where terrorists have found the perfect solution, which is that you can cross the border, go house to house slaughtering your enemies, and then hide behind your own people and they can do nothing about it. It's a perfect strategy. Can we live in a world where we allow that to be an acceptable strategy? I don't think so. And it's very ugly to watch. It's heartbreaking, and I completely understand why people don't think the way I think when they see the videos. I completely get it. But I don't think we can actually live in a world where that's allowed to be a strategy.
I appreciate your perspective.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. You clearly know more about it than I do.
Now, what kind of perpetrators of genocide provide food, water, and humanitarian medical assistance and evacuates children who are wounded and sick despite supposedly attempting to exterminate the Palestinians in Gaza? Now, Democrats are attacking the Medicaid work requirements for the able-bodied in the big, beautiful bill. It would merely require that certain adults, largely those under 65 without children or a disability, must meet work reporting rules. New Jersey Democrat ranking member of the House Energy and Commerce Committee, Frank Pallone, said to the Republicans, and I'm quoting, "What I believe you're doing, not intentionally, is figuring out every way possible for them not to qualify, either because they can't fill out the paperwork or they don't know how to do it," end of quote. In other words, the people are too stupid to handle the paperwork. AOC has criticized the work requirements. When Raul Ruiz, Democrat from California, was asked if he thought there should be any sort of work requirement to get Medicaid benefits, Ruiz said, and I'm quoting, "No, that's an easy one," end of quote. Wow. I'm old enough to remember when Democrats felt able-bodied Americans should work rather than go on welfare.
Nearly 30 years ago, Robert Kennedy said, "Work is the meaning of what this country is all about. We need it as individuals, we need to sense it in our fellow citizens, and we need it as a society and as a people." He was right then, and it's right now. From now on, our nation's answer to this great social challenge will no longer be a never-ending cycle of welfare. It will be the dignity, the power, and the ethic of work. Today, we are taking an historic chance to make welfare what it was meant to be, a second chance, not a way of life. This bill will help people to go to work so they can stop drawing a welfare check and start drawing a paycheck. It is now clearly better to go to work than to stay on welfare. Clearly better. Because of actions taken by the Congress in this session, it is clearly better to end the terrible, almost physical isolation of huge numbers of poor people and their children from the rest of mainstream America. We have to do that. Today we are ending welfare as we know it, but I hope this day will be remembered not for what it ended, but for what it began. A new day that offers hope, honors responsibility, rewards work, and changes the terms of the debate.
For too many, welfare has been a way of life. For too long, it has condemned too many on welfare to a lifetime at the margins of our society. Today, we start to change all that.
Anyone who wants to receive welfare
must sign an individual responsibility contract so that they are forced to agree up front to the conditions placed on receiving the benefit, and so that they will have a plan from day one on how to get themselves off of welfare, put them to work, and make them want to go to work and make it reasonable for them to go to work. It'll be mandatory work requirement for anyone receiving welfare. They actually have charged and run ads saying that President Obama wants to weaken the work requirements in the welfare reform bill I signed that moved millions of people from welfare to work. Oh, wait, the requirement was for more work, not less. I am telling you, the claim that President Obama weakened welfare reform's work requirement is just not true.
The best anti-poverty program is a job, which confers not just income, but structure and dignity and a sense of connection to community.
Hey, Eldorados, you know I just had my birthday a few days ago, and I just turned, but honestly, I feel more like 43. The other day I was asked, yo, Eldersky, how do you stay so sharp? I said something about feeling young again, and then it hit me. I really do feel younger, and I'll tell you why. It's this stuff right here. It's called Immun'Âge. It's a 100% natural, anti-aging Japanese supplement made 100% of fermented papaya. I've been using it daily for the past few months, and I've noticed a real difference. My immunity is stronger. Energy's up. Even my skin is looking younger. Now, just pour this packet under your tongue. It's a powder. Let it dissolve. That's it. Tastes great. No pills to swallow. No hassle. If you want to look and feel younger and give your body something it'll thank you for, go to Immun'Âge.com. That's IMMUNAGE.com and use my code Larry at checkout. Immun'Âge, not too hard to pronounce, Immun'Âge.com, code Larry at checkout for 10% off. Please welcome to the program the CEO of Freedom Chat, Tanner Haas. My question, Tanner, is assume that instead of using Signal, they had been using Freedom Chat. Would what happened have happened?
Well, I think there's a few reasons to suggest that it is likely that it would not have happened. Somebody was inadvertently added to a group chat, not with his phone number, but with the username. If I had two friends, one is named Larry Elder, the other same initials, LE, I accidentally added the wrong individual. That is really what happened. So let's make the phone number. That should be a verification right there. Number two is in a top secret group chat. You should have an approval process. So if you and I are in a group chat, Larry, with a few other people, and I want to add somebody to that group chat, then everybody in the group chat should have to approve that individual that I'm attempting to add. And until that approval process takes place, he should not, or she should not successfully be added to the group chat. It looks like he took a screenshot of the chat. Doesn't look like he took it with another phone. Freedom Chat prevents screenshots and screen recordings entirely. And as you know, if you try to take a screenshot within Freedom Chat, all you'll get is a blank white screen. And we prevent media from being saved as well. What's occurred on Signal, Telegram, WhatsApp is they allow one account to be on multiple devices. That to me opens up the door for security vulnerabilities, phishing, hacking, abuse. So that means that your phone number, Larry, you can log in on your iPhone, your Android, your iPad, iPhone number 2, and the more devices you have out there, the greater likelihood that something's going to happen. With Freedom Chat, we do not allow that, or we put a priority over privacy and security compared to convenience. So your phone number can only be linked to one device. Somebody tried to log in on another device with your phone number, the messages wouldn't even decrypt. It would say send a message, but decryption failed.
Don't watch from the sidelines. Invest in freedom, invest in your privacy, and be a part of history.
Speak freely and message privately with Freedom Chat.
Download the app today. Speaking of President Trump, where is the inflation? The stock market has recovered since Liberation Day. Consumer confidence up. The right track, wrong track number much better now than under Biden at the end of his administration.
The income numbers, really, for the first 4 months of the year, they're stellar. they're really stellar. I mean, I could go back and look at the first 4 months of many different years, really very strong numbers, and you're right. This administration is criticized for just about everything under the sun. I've never, ever in my lifetime had glimpses into the politics of an administration in the form of transparency like this one. Why don't we be, give credit where credit is due? Income really shooting up.
It is the 5th anniversary of the George Floyd protests and riots. And right on cue, America's top race hustler Al Sharpton has used the occasion to accuse the police and America of having a long way to go to combat alleged continuing racism. According to the Rev, there's been a racial backlash.
I'm wondering, where are we 5 years later? What was the general feeling, the general attitude inside of the church and other events talking about George Floyd and talking about where America's gone since then?
Well, the general feeling, of course, was being there with the family, and we literally went to the grave, was reminding them of the pain. But then the feeling of how far people have tried to come backwards on what was committed. If you remember that time, 5 years ago, feels like 50, there was everyone saying we need to come with a reckoning of race and a reckoning of policing. And we saw things being offered like the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, consent decrees with cities, like the city he was killed in Minneapolis and the city Breonna Taylor was killed in Louisville, all of that being rescinded now. And what I was saying all weekend at the churches and rallies we had is there's always a backlash. When you go forward, you go backwards. I mean, 2 months after the March on Washington in '63, when King made this great speech, I Have a Dream, a guy bombed a church in Birmingham. There's going to be backlash. We've got to keep going. And I think that we're at the stage now trying to hold on to whatever can be sustained from what happened 5 years ago and move forward and not overreact to the fact that there's some temporary losses. We should expect that and move on and fight on, because what George Floyd represented, I think, will last and keep this country going on the right course if we're determined.
The truth is the number of killings of unarmed suspects by the police has decreased over the years. The police kill more whites than blacks and more unarmed white men than unarmed blacks. I've talked about the polls showing 50% of self-described very liberal people thought the police killed 1,000 unarmed black men in 2019. And 8% of the self-described very liberal people thought the police killed 10,000. 39% of self-described liberals thought the police killed 1,000 unarmed black men in 2019, and 5% thought they killed 10,000. The actual number, according to the Washington Post database, 12. By the way, only 12% of conservatives believe the police killed 1,000 or more unarmed black men in 2019, and only 1% of conservatives thought the police killed 10,000. So on this issue, conservatives are far better informed than liberals and very liberal people. Why are people so ill-informed? Easy, because the media, Democrats, and so-called civil rights leaders go into hyperdrive whenever an unarmed black person dies at the hands of the police, regardless of the circumstances. Ever heard of Tony Timpa, a 32-year-old white unarmed mentally ill man who died in police custody in Dallas 2016? Timpa was having a mental breakdown because he had not taken his prescription medication for schizophrenia and depression. He's the one who called the police. By the way, this video, tough to watch, goes on longer than the George Floyd video. This one goes for 14 minutes altogether. And again, more difficult to watch than the George Floyd video.
Help me! Help me! Hey, what's up? Hey, look, Tony. Look at me, bro.
Hey,
Tony.
Chill out, man.
Get me, gun. Get me. Please get me. Just take me down.
No, you're fine.
Don't hurt me.
We're not gonna hurt you, bro. We're not gonna hurt you, bro.
Relax, man. No. Get you some help, Tony. Relax, man. Just stay down.
Hey.
Tony.
No!
Tony.
Ah! Stop it.
Oh, no, please.
You're gonna be all right. You're gonna be all right.
What's your last name, Tony? Please!
We're not gonna hurt you, okay?
Don't do it! Okay, I'm down! I'm down! I'm down! Please don't do it! Please
You're all
don't
right.
do it!
Hey, you're okay.
Okay.
You're okay. You're okay.
Don't hurt me!
Tony, relax.
Tony, relax. Tony, relax. You don't need to be squirming, man.
Stop.
We're trying to get you help, man.
Stop.
All right? Oh, God, please. Oh, God.
You're gonna be all right. You're gonna be all right.
Oh, you cut my feet off.
You're
Oh,
gonna,
my God.
you're gonna be all right, bud.
Oh.
Okay?
No.
We're gonna get you some help.
Help me! Help me! Help me! Help me! Help me!
Hey, sir, can you talk?
Oh, no. Oh.
Tony?
Tony?
Anthony Temple or something like that.
Anthony.
Hey, can you respond to my questions?
Tony.
No?
Tony.
I'm trying to help, but I need you to acknowledge me.
Tony. Tony.
There's nothing in me.
This ain't just normal crazy, man.
Help me!
I had him down like this because they had him just sitting down. He's like rolling. Man. I was like,
This is not schizophrenia. He took something. Hey, Tony, what'd you take?
Well, they can ride both. Like they can both ride in the back. I'll drive the ambulance. I highly doubt it. He's zipped out his feet. He's a kicker, man.
Oh, hell yeah. You kicked me a couple times.
Yeah, that's what I decided. No, I'm laying
He's
down.
like, you're gonna kill me. He's trying to kick me. No, just trying to kick me.
He was scrumming a little. Tony, you still with us?
You all right, bud? You gonna be all right.
Is he acknowledging you?
He's moving.
I thought he nodded yes to your question.
Tony. Tony. He's breathing. Tony.
I'll make sure you're still breathing.
Yeah.
His nose is buried in there.
I think he's still breathing. He just snorted. Tony.
What the f?
Is he asleep? He's snoring. That's what it was.
Yeah, he's asleep.
Wow. If I was squirming that much, I'd be sleeping too. Tony.
Tony! Tony! Time for school. Wake up.
I'm going to school.
Five more minutes off. First day, you can't be late.
Tony.
You bought your new shoes for the first day of school. Come on. Made breakfast, scrambled eggs, your favorite. What, waffles? Waffles. Fruity Tutti Fruity waffles.
No.
Cold now.
Yeah, this might wake him up.
What happened?
I don't know, he just got quiet.
All of a sudden, it just whoop. I don't want him to fall.
Is he knocked out or he ain't dead, is he?
Nah, he just moves.
Oh, okay.
I think I'll go freak.
He didn't just die down there, did he?
I don't think he did.
Is he breathing? I hope I didn't kill him.
It's all this weed.
Light it.
I love how this became a weed. Yeah. We ain't friends. Exactly. Yeah, he's not breathing.
He's not breathing?
Nope.
Oh,
Fire. Huh.
nah, he ain't breathing, bro.
We all put on some gloves when he's chest compressions.
He ain't breathing.
So he was fighting and then just gave up.
Hey, I've got his mom on the phone, and she knows all this stuff.
He's dead.
He's what?
He's dead.
Well,
Tempa's death was ruled homicide due to, quote, the stress of being restrained and extreme physical exertion, close quote, and the effect of cocaine use. No criminal charges against the officers. Where's Sharpton? Where's the media? Where's the anniversary of that? Now, ever heard of Kelly Thomas, a white, unarmed 37-year-old Fullerton, California man suffering from schizophrenia? In 2011, a bar manager called the police and lied and claimed someone had broken into cars near his establishment. He wanted the cops to come out. He knew they wouldn't come out just to shoo away a homeless guy. The bar owner just wanted Kelly Thomas away from his premises. Thomas endured what the Orange County Register called, and I'm quoting them, one of the worst police beatings in national history, end of quote.
I'm going to force my hand and we won't let you do this. Go ahead. Sit down, put your foot in the back. Okay, that's fine. Would you just put your hands? All right. Get on the ground now. Get on the ground. Get on the ground. Right side. Well, stop it. Okay. Here, dude. Here, just come. Please. Come on. Please don't, dude. Please. Roll your stomach. Roll your stomach. Roll your stomach. Before code 3 still. Help me, please, Dad. Oh, Dad, I can't breathe, Dad. Yeah. He's so fine, dude. Relax. Well, we can't take him. Can you guys gurney him? We can't take him like that. Your guy. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought he was like, come on, we can't take him like this. Your own guy. Ready to get to your car. We're going to call the ambulance.
The result: of the 6 officers involved, 3 were tried for second-degree murder, involuntary manslaughter, and excessive use of force. 2 were found not guilty, and the charges against the third were dropped. Where was Sharpton? Where was the media on the anniversary of this beating?
I'm waiting!
Citizen Donald Trump wasn't taking any crap from CNN even way back then.
Ones who said negative things, and
here we are.
Well, we've got to talk about that.
Back to the negative.
Back to the negative.
Back to the. You know what? Do this interview with somebody else.
Well, we talked about this yesterday on the phone. This is exactly what we talked about.
Do the interview with somebody else. Really. You don't need this. Do it with somebody else and have a good time.
Because frankly, you're a very negative guy, and I think it's very unfair reporting. Good luck.
I disagree with you. Sorry you feel that way.
So, how do you deal with Donald Trump, who's been a force of nature since he was a child? Tampon Tim has an idea.
Called out on this because I called Donald Trump a wannabe dictator. It's because he is. It's because he is. Oh. The governor's being mean, and the governor's speaking out on that. Well, maybe it's time for us to be a little meaner. Maybe it's time for us to be a little more fierce. Because we have to ferociously push back on this. And again, I'll speak to my teacher colleagues in here. The thing that bothers a teacher more than anything is to watch a bully, to watch this bully, and to stop it. And when it's a child, you talk to them, and you tell them why bullying's wrong. But when it's adult like Donald Trump, you bully out of him back. You push back.
Donald Trump is anti-LGBTQ plus community, right?
Do you feel President Trump is oppressive to the LGBTQ community?
Very much.
How has your life changed since Trump entered the White House?
I haven't quite felt any changes quite myself. I don't know if maybe I may just be blind to it.
Do you feel a child should have to wait till they're 18 to transition, or should they be able to start taking things such as hormone therapy and other procedures once they're in their teenage years?
I think we should allow the children to do what they want to do. I think we should allow children to transition. I think we allow the medical professions to be the medical professions and stop letting politics dictate as if they went to medical school and know what can and can't happen with the child transitioning. I feel they're just speaking and they're not actually picking up research articles and looking into it to see what the actual disadvantages are.
Do you feel the LGBTQ community is being oppressed since Trump took office a few months ago?
Not at all. You are a free country. Democracy prevails here. I think Trump is doing good for your country. I think Trump is not really anti-gay because this event, look, it's huge. Trump is your president at the moment, so I don't think he's doing any wrong.
Why do you think some folks on the left criticize Trump as being homophobic or transphobic?
This is the media, and there's a lot of fake news on the media. The media is full of fake news. If you want to know the reality, you have to come to the place. You have to be here, feel, touch, 5 senses. You need to feel the 5 senses in order to know exactly what's going on in a country. So, I mean, I'm sorry to say, but I don't think Trump is doing wrong.
Say that one more time.
Not at all. You are a free country. Democracy prevails here. I think Trump is doing good for your country.
I have a lot of choices about who I work with in the precious metals industry, and so do you. I really love the fact that for over 45 years, AmFed Coin and Bullion has been serving buyers and sellers of coins and precious metals. AmFed has earned a reputation for providing helpful information, transparency, and fair pricing. Nick Grovich is especially hands-on. He believes that educated consumers make strong investors. Nick is upfront and transparent about AmFed's commission structure. The typical markup, only 3 to 7% compared to many dealers that may charge as high as 35% or even more. That is a remarkable difference. When you are choosing to invest in gold, it's important to be wise in whom you choose to execute that investment. Call AmFed Coin and Bullion today, 1-800-221-7694, or go to AmericanFederal.com. If you're in the Phoenix area, make an appointment to visit them in person as I did. You will be impressed. That's 1-800-221-7694, or go to AmericanFederal.com. Do you think EVs are better for the planet than gas-powered cars?
I think so.
Yes.
Probably not. Yes.
No.
Yes, I think so. I don't think so. I mean, it's hard to say.
Yeah, electric is probably the best way to go.
When I first began hearing this business about net zero emission, I felt conflicted.
We will eliminate in the state of California the sales of internal combustion engines.
And most countries in the world have already signed up for it. I love my gasoline-powered cars. I don't want the planet to be damaged, so I just don't know what to believe. Is it really true that electric vehicles are better for the planet than gasoline-powered vehicles?
So without more mechanical parts moving in the vehicle, it's instantaneous. Torque is instantaneous.
The batteries are lasting very long. Charge them at your house using solar is amazing.
That's it? Wow. I needed to get my hands on one of those cars.
What is your opinion of electric vehicles?
Oh boy, sorry. I'm not real fond of electric vehicles. They're good for around town. If you long distance, they create anxiety. Had one fire, sitting in the parking lot just burst into flames. And then you're having a problem with the battery. What do you do with these batteries when they go bad?
When I think about visiting Able-Bodied, it brought me to tears.
This metal to the lithium-ion batteries demand skyrocketed in the past decade.
It's hard to get one mine permitted in the United States, which means we're going to be relying on those people who control those minerals, and that's China.
And I'm not willing to financially support that humanity atrocity.
An electric vehicle is a computer with 4 wheels and some seats.
The components of these electric vehicles are made in China, so there could be tracking mechanisms put into Americans' cars.
And I believe that the United States needs to stand up against that.
And my father always told my brothers and me the following: hard work wins. You cannot control the outcome, but you are 100% in control of the effort. And before you moan and groan, ask yourself, what could I have done to change the outcome? My one question, my big overriding question would be real simple. Are EVs better for the planet than gasoline-powered vehicles? CNN's Brianna Keeler just can't understand why biological men shouldn't compete against women.
To comply with federal law to accept federal funds.
What would make this fair for her to compete for those who are competing against her? What would that kind of structure in competition look like?
Who is her?
AB.
Okay, AB Hernandez is a male who identifies as a female. What would be fair is to have Hernandez competing in the male category. It is not fair to the females competing to have to compete with a male.
Okay, so in Trump's federal funding threat, is that something, though, that would hurt all student athletes, including athletes who are assigned female at birth?
Would his federal funding threat hurt athletes?
If the money is taken away.
Right. So the law actually says that schools that do not abide Title IX or other federal laws cannot receive federal funds. So that's not Trump's fault. The problem is that the state with AB 1266.
But you understand, Julie, there's two views here on Title IX. So just to be clear, not everyone agrees with you on how you're viewing it. So in that regard, if you were to take away the funding on as it pertains to trans athletes, not everyone agrees with you. I think we just have to be clear about that. If you are taking away the funds for athletes, student athletes in California, isn't that going to hurt all of them?
Taking away federal funds is going to hurt all California kids, which is why the state of California needs to comply with federal law. It's very simple.
So when you dig into the science on trans athletes, what is really clear is that there needs to be a lot more research on a lot more trans athletes to be able to draw better conclusions about the effect of whether gender-affirming care actually reduces or eliminates the advantage conferred on an athlete who is genetically male. Would you welcome more research? Is this a situation where more research might help?
I absolutely think that more research and more careful and thoughtful discussion is necessary here. Pediatric sex change procedures are very harmful and they cause lifelong damage to children. And this is something that the United States of America needs to examine thoughtfully, and people need to be able to discuss openly without being called bigots and transphobes.
Yeah, totally hear you. There are obviously clear benefits to playing sports, to competing in sports. So when you're looking at an athlete like AB Hernandez, what would you have her do so that she can benefit from sporting?
I view AB Hernandez as the victim in this situation. I feel for him, and I feel that he has been lied to for his entire life, and it's probably very destabilizing and difficult for him right now to realize that what he's been told is not actually reality. He cannot become a girl. What he can do is compete in the male category.
Okay,
or
let's stick to sports. So you say compete in the male category, or what?
Or if the state and CIF want to create a separate category for people like AB Hernandez, and that's something that they want to do, fine. It is not fair to female athletes who have worked their entire lives for this kind of competition, who also, by the way, cannot speak out for fear of retaliation, which AB Hernandez's mother has personally threatened against them. So it's very unfair for our girls and women in California to have to compete with males, have to share facilities with males, and then not be able to speak up about the unfairness because people are going to label them as bigots.
Julie Hamill, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate it.
And last week, we played you the dark, depressing, we're all going to die, anti-Trump commencement address by CBS's Scott Pelley.
This moment, this morning, our sacred rule of law is under attack. Journalism is under attack. Universities are under attack. Freedom of speech is under attack. And insidious fear is reaching through our schools, our businesses, our homes, and into our private thoughts. The fear to speak in America.
This one, a slightly more uplifting tone.
The wisest person I ever met in my life, a third grade dropout. Wisest and dropout in the same sentence is rather oxymoronic, like jumbo shrimp. Mm-hmm. Like fun run, ain't nothing fun about it. Like Microsoft Works, y'all don't hear me. I used to say like country music, but I've lived in Texas so long, I love country music now. I hunt, I fish, I have cowboy boots and cowboy. Y'all, I'm a black neck redneck. Do you hear what I'm saying to you? No longer oxymoronic for me to say country music. And it's not oxymoronic for me to say third grade and dropout. That third grade dropout, the wisest person I ever met in my life, who taught me to combine knowledge and wisdom to make an impact, was my father. A simple cook. Wisest man I ever met in my life. Just a simple cook. Left school in the third grade to help out on the family farm, but just because he left school doesn't mean his education stopped. Mark Twain once said, "I've never allowed my schooling to get in the way of my education." My father taught himself how to read, taught himself how to write, decided in the midst of Jim Crowism, as America was breathing the last gasp of the Civil War, my father decided he was going to stand and be a man. Not a black man, not a brown man, not a white man, but a man. He literally challenged himself to be the best that he could all the days of his life. I have 4 degrees. My brother is a judge. We're not the smartest ones in our family. It's a third grade dropout daddy. A third grade dropout daddy who was quoting Michelangelo, saying to us, "Boys, I won't have a problem if you aim high and miss, but I'm gonna have a real issue if you aim low and hit." A country mother quoting Henry Ford, saying, "If you think you can or if you think you can't, you're right." I learned that from a third grade drop. Simple lessons. Lessons like these. Son, you'd rather be an hour early than a minute late. We never knew what time it was at my house because the clocks were always ahead. My mother said for nearly 30 years, my father left the house at 3:45 in the morning. One day she asked him, "Why, Daddy?" He said, "Maybe one of my boys will catch me in the act of excellence. I want to share 2 things with you." Aristotle said, "You are what you repeatedly do." Therefore, excellence ought to be a habit, not an act. Don't ever forget that. I know you're tough, but always remember to be kind. Always. Don't ever forget that. Never embarrass mama. Yeah. If mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. If daddy ain't happy, don't nobody care. But you know, I'm trying to tell you. Next lesson. Lesson from a cook over there in the galley. Son, make sure your servant's towel is bigger than your ego. Ego is the anesthesia that deadens the pain of stupidity. Y'all might have a relative in mind you want to send that to. Let me say it again. Ego is the anesthesia that deadens the pain of stupidity. Pride is the burden of a foolish person. John Wooden coached basketball at UCLA for a living, but his calling was to impact people. And with all those national championships, guess what he was found doing in the middle of the week? Going into the cupboard, grabbing a broom, and sweeping his own gym floor. You want to make an impact? Find your broom. Every day of your life, you find your broom. You grow your influence that way. That way you're attracting people so that you can impact them. Final lesson. Son, if you're gonna do a job, do it right. I've always been told how average I can be. Always been criticized about being average. But I want to tell you something. I stand here before you, before all of these people, not listening to those words, but telling myself every single day to shoot for the stars, to be the best that I can be. Good enough isn't good enough if it can be better, and better isn't good enough if it can be best. Let me close with a very personal story that I think will bring all this into focus. Wisdom will come to you in the unlikeliest of sources, a lot of times through failure. When you hit rock bottom, remember this. While you're struggling, rock bottom can also be a great foundation on which to build and on which to grow. I'm not worried that you'll be successful. I'm worried that you won't fail from time to time. The person that gets up off the canvas and keeps growing, that's the person that will continue to grow their influence. Back in the 70s, to help me make this point, let me introduce you to someone. I met the finest woman I'd ever met in my life. Back in my day, we'd have called her a brick house. This woman was the finest woman I'd ever seen in my life. There's just one little problem. Back then, ladies didn't like big old linemen. The Blind Side hadn't come out yet. They like quarterbacks and running backs. We're at this dance, and I find out her name is Trina Williams from Lompoc, California, and we're all dancing, and we're just excited. And I decide in the middle of dancing with her that I would ask her for her phone number. Trina was the first one. Trina was the only woman in college who gave me her real telephone number. The next day, we walked to Baskin & Robbins ice cream parlor. My friends couldn't believe it. This has been 40 years ago, and my friends still can't believe it. We go on a second date, and a third date, and a fourth date. We drive from Chico to Vallejo so that she could meet my parents. My father meets her. My daddy, my hero, he meets her, pulls me to the side and says, "Is she psycho?" But anyway, we go together for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. By now, Trina's a senior in college. I'm still a freshman, but I'm working some things out. I'm so glad I graduated in 4 terms. Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan. So now it's time to propose. So I talk to her girlfriends, and it's California, it's in the 70s, so it has to be outside. You have to have a candle, and you have to have, some chocolate. Listen, I'm from the hood. I had a bottle of Boone's Farm wine. That's what I had. She said yes. That was the key. I married the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen in my life. Y'all ever been to a wedding, and even before the wedding starts, you hear this? How in the world? And it was coming from my side of the family. We get married, we have a few children, our lives are great. One day, Trina finds a lump in her left breast. Breast cancer. 6 years after that diagnosis, me and my 2 little boys walked up to Mommy's casket. And for 2 years, my heart didn't beat. If it wasn't for my faith in God, I wouldn't be standing here today. If it wasn't for those 2 little boys, there would have been no reason for which to go on. I was completely lost. That was rock bottom. You know what sustained me? The wisdom of a 3rd grade dropout. The wisdom of a simple cook. We're at the casket. I'd never seen my dad cry. But this time I saw my dad cry. That was his daughter. Trina was his daughter, not his daughter-in-law. And I'm right behind my father, about to see her for the last time on this earth. And my father shared 3 words with me that changed my life right there at the casket. It would be the last lesson he would ever teach me. He said, "Son, just stand. You keep standing. You keep standing, no matter how rough the sea, you keep standing." And I'm not talking about just water. You keep standing. No matter what, you don't give up. And as clearly as I'm talking to you today, these were some of her last words to me. She looked me in the eye and she said, "It doesn't matter to me any longer how long I live. What matters to me most is how I live." I ask y'all one question, a question that I was asked all my life by a 3rd grade dropout. How you living? How you living? Every day, ask yourself that question, how you living? Here's what a cook would suggest you to live this way. That you would not judge, that you would show up early, that you'd be kind, that you'd make sure that that servant's towel is huge and used, that if you're gonna do something, you do it the right way. That cook would tell you this, that it's never wrong to do the right thing, that how you do anything is how you do everything. And in that way, you will grow your influence to make an impact. In that way, you will honor all those who have gone before you, who have invested in you. Look in those unlikeliest places for wisdom. Enhance your life every day by seeking that wisdom and asking yourself every night, how am I living? May God richly bless y'all. Thank you for having me.
Jasmine Crockett is the leader of her party.
If Jasmine Crockett is a thought leader of the party, Democrats will stay in the wilderness longer than Moses did.
I mean, he literally sounds like someone who is broken out of the insane asylum. Like, he just be all over the place. Like, get him some ADHD medicine, if nothing else, because I don't know where he's ever going to go. It is time for Republicans to start calling him out and start questioning his mental acuity and whether or not he is equipped to serve mentally. We know when it comes down to his criminality, he is not qualified to serve. But this is just absolutely deplorable.
You know, it's hard to know where to start with Ms. Crockett. She mocked the governor of Texas for being paralyzed. She conflates attention deficit disorder with insanity, which is both cruel and medically stupid. What she's really saying is that a majority of her fellow citizens voted for someone who's insane. So what does that make us? Here's some free political advice. Insulting voters typically is not a pathway to success.
Jasmine Crockett, I love her. She is amazing.
Yeah.
I think that people want to see somebody who fights and calls out the bull. Ultimately, I think that's what Jasmine does, and we need a hell of a lot more people that are out there that are willing to do just that and call people out on their BS and not say, oh my God, Republicans are going to criticize me for saying this. Screw that. They're going to criticize you no matter what. So what we should be asking ourselves is, what are we really fighting for? Because we know it matters. And I think Jasmine is frankly the type of leader that we're really looking to support in some senses, right? Somebody who is out there that frankly doesn't give a damn what the other side, at least the elected Republicans in Congress say what they believe in. And at least you know, even if you don't agree with her, you know what she stands for.
Yeah.
Here, the leader of the party explains how Dems intend to start winning elections.
What is the Democrat playbook for the midterms? Is it blaming Trump, or is it talking about kitchen table issues?
You act like I got the playbook. Listen, I mean, the winning playbook, I think overall is just communication and education. I think that you can talk about kitchen table issues all you want to, but it comes down to actually having a rapport and making sure that people actually understand what it is that you're talking about. I don't think that we failed to talk about kitchen table issues, but basically Trump was simple and lied, right? Like, he said, hey, the price of eggs are high, I'm gonna reduce it on day one. It was a very simple message. It was a lie.
We're going down now.
I mean, after they went up through the roof, like, let's be clear. And honestly, they may be down for the second, but again, having people be educated about what it is that the FDA does, and talking about things such as the bird flu, and talking about if you have less birds because they are sick, then that's less eggs, but the demand is still the same, then the price goes up. Like, we have to make sure we do education. One of the other issues that I think that we had is that people didn't understand that the global pandemic was the cause of our inflation. They were like, oh, everything's high, and they just said, well, that's the person that's in office, instead of actually having this global conversation. Or one of the things that he was honest about is that he actually was going to institute tariffs. The problem was people didn't understand exactly what a tariff was, because he was able to say, you know what, and it's going to be those foreign countries that pay for the tariffs. So everybody's like, all right, cool. Like, but that's not the case. And so I think that our win is in the education. I think it is why I place an emphasis on making sure that we can do things such as our teletown halls, why I place an emphasis on coming in and having an actual dialogue with my seniors, because I do want to make sure that they understand what's going on, and I want to break it down into the simplest terms that I can, because some of this can be really, really complicated. But I think our win is in our education and our constant communication.
Gunga, galunga. Gunga, gunga, la gunga.
And no sidewinding, bushwhacking, hornswoggling, crocker is gonna roll my biscuit cutter.
So you heard me talk about Patriot Mobile for a while now. You probably already know that for years, they've stood in the gap for every American who believes that faith, family, and freedom are worth fighting for. They are the real deal. But did you know they've got cutting-edge technology too? Switching is easy. No store visits, no hassle. Keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade. Their 100% US-based team can activate you in minutes right over the phone. And get this. Patriot Mobile is one of the few carriers with access to all 3 major U.S. networks. That means exceptional nationwide coverage, plus they can even put a second number on a different network, on one phone. It's like carrying two phones in one. They have unlimited data plans, mobile hotspots, international roaming, internet on-the-go devices, and home internet backup. You can't get this from the big guys. So what are you waiting for? Make the switch today and experience the Patriot Mobile difference. Go to patriotmobile.com/Larry or call 972-PATRIOT, and right now use promo code Larry for a free month of service. Switch to Patriot Mobile and defend freedom with every call and text you make. That's patriotmobile.com/Larry or call 972-PATRIOT. Attention active duty military and first responders. Open an account with Old Glory Bank. It takes about 8 minutes and get a free $100,000 line of duty life insurance policy.
Every day, they put their lives on the line. In the line of duty, in the line of fire. They're protectors, police, firefighters, the military, Border Patrol agents. They protect us, so Old Glory Bank is protecting them with Old Glory Protect. It's a $100,000 line of duty death benefit free with an Old Glory Bank account with direct deposit. Old Glory Protect from Old Glory Bank, protecting those who protect us.
Again, it'll take you about 8 minutes to open up an account. OldGloryBank.com, that's OldGloryBank.com. MyPillow is excited to announce that they are extending the mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. This is your chance to grab incredible deals on some of MyPillow's most popular and newly released items. For example, save $40 on the new spring MyPillow bed sheets available in any size and color. These luxurious sheets are designed for maximum comfort and breathability, perfect for a great night's sleep. Looking for a meaningful gift? Save 30% on the brand new My Crosses, inspired by the one Mike has worn every day for over 20 years. These beautifully crafted crosses come in both men's and women's designs and are proudly made right here in the good old US of A. Get the 6-piece bath or kitchen towel sets for just $39.98. Initial quantities are extremely limited, so do not wait. And don't forget the best-selling standard MyPillow, now just $17.98. Plus, orders over $75 ship free. Go to MyPillow.com and use promo code Larry or call 800-890-1843 to order right now. That's MyPillow.com, promo code Larry, or call 800-890-1843 to order right now. Remember how the WNBA investigated allegations of fan racism directed towards one of its stars, Angel Reese? Reese said, and I'm quoting her, "If it can happen to me, it can happen to anyone," end of quote. But ruh-roh, after a lengthy investigation, they interviewed fans, the team, arena staff. They looked at audio, video of the game. They couldn't find any instance of fan racism.
Yeah, obviously there's no place in this league for that. I think the WNBA and our team and our organization has done a great job supporting me. I've had communication from everyone, from so many people across this league, and being able to support me and going through this whole process. Obviously, it could happen to me, it could happen to anyone. And
the WNBA says it is not able to prove that fans made racist remarks toward the Chicago Sky's Angel Reese. The league was specifically looking into May 17th's game between the Sky and Indiana Fever. An unknown source had reported there were, quote, hateful fan comments that were made after Indiana's Caitlin Clark had fouled Reese in the third quarter. The investigation included interviewing fans, team, and arena staff, as well as audio and video review of that game. But those comments could not be, quote, substantiated.
It could happen to me, it could happen to anyone.
The WNBA put out a statement, quote, "We have investigated report of racist fan behavior in the vicinity of the court, and we have not substantiated it," end of quote.
Never mind.
Remember DJ Daniel, the kid who wants to be a cop?
Joining us in the gallery tonight is a young man who truly loves our police. His name is DJ Daniel. He is 13 years old, and he has always dreamed of becoming a police officer. But in 2018, DJ was diagnosed with brain cancer. The doctors gave him 5 months at most to live. That was more than 6 years ago. Since that time, DJ and his dad have been on a quest to make his dream come true, and DJ has been sworn in as an honorary law enforcement officer, actually a number of times. The police love him, the police departments love him. And tonight, DJ, we're going to do you the biggest honor of them all. I am asking our new Secret Service Director, Sean Curran, to officially make you an agent of the United States Secret Service. Thank you, DJ.
There's one more thing I got for you, a big hug.
Okay, good. That's very nice.
Well, now DJ is being diagnosed with 3 new tumors. But this hasn't stopped him from attempting to set a Guinness record of being sworn in by the most law enforcement agencies. Right now, the number is 1,351. Jake Tapper, the co-author of the book about Biden's alleged mental decline cover-up, recently said his kid wants to be a cop.
I went on a left-leaning podcast that shall remain nameless, and we were talking about my kids, because I think they were both people without kids. And they asked me about my son, and I said he was, he's a football player, and he wants to be a policeman. And their joke was about my 15-year-old son, oh, how does he feel about minorities? Like the idea that he wants to be a policeman, therefore he's racist, my son. And that was the big laugh. And then I got dragged in the comments and all that stuff. And I thought to myself, this is why you are losing elections.
100%.
Like my football playing son, who has no political views. He's 15. He thinks about World War II and gaming and playing linebacker. That's his world. You're deciding he's a racist because he wants to be a cop. And why does he want to be a cop? He wants to be a cop because he wants to help people, and he thinks that's the best way he can help people. And that's how the Democratic Party talks to men, not just white men, but men. And I get the idea that they thought Tim Walz could what's the term he used, code switch or something. He thought that he could translate the Democratic Party values because he hunts and fishes and owns a gun and was in the army and drinks a beer. At least there was an attempt, but I find it just insane.
This is all about Jake Tapper's homies on his left. If you're a black person, you're an Uncle Tom. And if you're white, like Jake Tapper's son, you are presumed to be a racist. Finally, just a little bit off the top.
Man, what the is going on, man? Yo! Rock hard, listen on my ear, bro. What are you doing?
Bro.
bro, what the Yo, what's good with you, bro? Sit down.
Yo, you need this much water, man? Hey.
Hold on, bro. Be still now.
Chill.
Be still, man.
You know, a lot of times my mom didn't think I was particularly funny either.
Hey, Mom. Why does the Avon lady walk funny? Because her lipstick.
Oh, no. Oh, my God.
Hey, Mom. I went to the doctor the other day.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, he said I have an addiction to masturbation. But don't worry, I'll beat it.
Dan, what did you?
Hey, Mom. What's a nearsighted gynecologist and a puppy have in common?
I don't know, but I'm sure it's awful.
They both have a wet nose. Hey, Mom. What's the hardest part about eating a vegetable?
I don't know.
Putting them back in the wheelchair.
Jesus Christ. Oh, my God. Oh my God.
Hey, Mom. Why do lesbians shop at Sports Authority? Because they don't like dicks.
Oh, my God.
Hey, Mom. If a man and a woman need a marriage license to get married, what do two lesbians need? A liquor license.
Did you hear that? If it's really bad, I don't know if it should be on the camera.
Hey, Mom. What's the difference between hungry and horny?
Do you know, Dan?
It's where you put the cucumber.
Dan.
Hey, Mom. Who cooks in the lesbian relationship? Neither one. They both eat out. Hey, Mom. What's white and sticky and better to spit out than swallow?
Oh, my God, I wonder what.
Toothpaste. Hey, Mom. Why did Helen Keller's dog run away?
I don't know.
You would too if your name was.
But you can't post that.
I'm tired of these MFing snakes on this MFing golf course.
Your feet.
Oh my God, right? Oh my God. Oh. Oh.
What is that? They went up over that sand trap over the hill.
Oh, what the fuck?
Hey, dude, you guys don't understand, bro. Yo, stick.
Holy fuck! Nathan! Where the f is it?
Enough is enough! I have had it with these monkey-fighting snakes on this Monday to Friday plane!
A drunk, a used car salesman, and James Brown walk into a bar. The comedy stylings of President Ronald Reagan. He's here all week.
A scarecrow walked into a store looking for a brain. He sees 3 brains on display. One is a libertarian brain priced at $25. The second is a Republican brain priced at $100. And the third is a Democratic brain that is priced at $1 million. So the man asks the clerk, why does the Democratic brain cost so much more than the other 2? The clerk replies, Well, sir, that brain has never been used. An Amish boy and his father went to a mall. They were amazed by almost everything they saw, but especially by two shiny silver walls that could move apart and then slide back together again. The boy asked his father, "What is that?" The father, never having seen an elevator, responded, "Son, I don't know." While the boy and his father were watching, an elderly lady moved toward the silver walls and pressed a button. The walls opened, and the lady walked inside of a small room. The walls closed. The boy and his father watched as the small numbers above the walls lit up sequentially. They continued to watch as it reached the last number. After a brief pause, the numbers began to light up again, but this time in reverse order. The silver walls opened again, and a gorgeous 24-year-old blonde stepped out. The father said quietly to his son, "Go and get your mother."
Now be gentle. They bruise easily.
Usually, the mentally retarded are divided into classifications: the educable, the trainable, and the custodial. Obviously, we can only assess the abilities or potential of the mentally retarded on an individual basis. Seemingly random motions and movements are fairly common among the custodial retarded, and they may take many forms. Sometimes there are motions which seem to have no meaning whatever and may even cause unintentional self-inflicted injuries. The vast majority of the mentally retarded are intelligent enough that they can be taught a great many things. However, there's a wide range of ability even among those considered educable, and their ability to learn obviously varies according to their level of intelligence. Equally important is a stimulating environment. However, we must remember to set realistic standards that are not too high for the individual. Many of the trainable retarded can learn to take certain kinds of household responsibilities, some of which may be more complex than they are usually given credit for. It would be wrong to expect a mentally retarded person to become a master craftsman. The standards are too high. But even in the skilled trades, for example, the mentally retarded can be trained to become valuable assistants. Who are the mentally retarded? They are people. They come in both sexes and in all sizes, shapes, creeds, and colors. Wherever people live, there also live the mentally retarded.
Some of the best of Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana.
Goat's milk latte drinking, avocado toast eating. Life is hard, but it's harder when you're stupid. Can I take cocaine with my spouse?
No, sir. No, sir.
I did not call Senator Sanders an ignorant. I'm not talking about buying it, but let's suppose I came in one day and the cocaine was there. People who are bilingual, they speak English and stupid. I don't know why we have to give money to countries that hate us. They should be able to hate us for free. Looks like we're giving Lindsay Lohan the keys to the minibar. President Biden is sort of like Kevin Bacon at the end of Animal House, the cantina bar scene out of Star Wars. They wanted it like Ben wants J-Lo. But frankly, I can't, because I can't get my head that far up my rear end. Stick it up their fact checker. They can kiss my... Somebody at the White House has been smoking the devil's lettuce, okay? We cannot run the greatest economy by putting fairy dust and unicorn urine in our cars. Urinate to get off the pot. My car doesn't run off fairy dust. My car doesn't run off unicorn urine. Or next time you get in trouble, call a crackhead, call a criminal, call a meth head. It must suck to be that dumb. I don't mean disrespect, but the mayor needs to take her meds. Christmas ornaments, drywall, and Jerry Epstein. Name 3 things that don't hang themselves.
Hope you enjoyed We've Got a Country to Save, brought to you by Immun'Âge and Freedom Chat. Freedom Chat is true end-to-end encryption, no storage of messages on the server, and no commercial use of user data. That way, you can speak freely and message privately. Download the app today and subscribe to my Freedom Chat channel at Larry Elder for exclusive posts and never-before-seen content. We also thank Impactful Pictures, Old Glory Bank, Patriot Mobile, MyPillow, and AmFed Coin and Bullion. Please be sure to like and subscribe to our podcast. Make sure to follow or subscribe to my channel on whatever platform you are using, whether X, YouTube, Facebook, or Rumble. Please patronize our sponsors so we can keep bringing you these incredible videos. And remember, we've got a country to save.
Hi, I'm Corinne Jean-Pierre, and I am the author of a new book that's coming out this fall called Independent. It's coming out on October 21st, so please do grab it. And the reason I wrote this book, coming out of the White House, you know, serving as White House press secretary was an honor and a privilege. But since I have left, the people that come up to me, strangers that come up to me just across the country as I'm traveling, and sometimes right in my neighborhood, at a grocery store, supermarket, airport, my daughter's school, the number one question they ask me is, Corinne, how do we get out of this? How do we protect our democracy? How do we protect vulnerable communities among us? What do we do next? Because we don't have answers here. That's what they ask me. And this is my answer. And what I mean by that is, in an era of misinformation, disinformation, the regressiveness of social policy, what we're seeing currently right now, what I have decided to do, and I really have thought long and hard about this, is to follow my own compass. And that's what I've done, and that's what this book does. And here's the truth, and here's how I will lay it out to you. I think we need to stop thinking in boxes and think outside of our boxes and not be so partisan. And the way that I see moving forward in this space that we're in right now is, if you are willing to stand side by side with me, regardless of your political, how you identify politically, and as long as you respect the community that I belong to and vulnerable communities that I respect, I will be there with you. I will move forward with you. And that is, I think, so important. So this book, Independent, it's about looking outside of boxes, not just always being in a partisan stance. And how do we move forward together in a compassionate way, in a way that really, truly cares about people? October 21st.
Brand new shirt at LarryElderShop.com. The black face of white supremacy, featuring a striking design inspired by the Terminator. This isn't just merch, it's a message. A message to the media, the elites, and the race-baiting left. You can't cancel that which won't quit. Get yours now at LarryElderShop.com and use promo code ELDER25 to save 25%. Wear it proud, stand your ground, and remember, we've got a country to save.